Namaste and welcome to Future Leaders produced by Today's Youth Asia. In this show, we talk about innovation, inspire leadership and nurture concerns for a better world. My name is Aina and today we have with us Mr. Kanchan, founder and executive president of Sanopaila. Sanopaila is a youth organization working in Tarai region of Nepal. Mr. Shah completed his bachelor's in international relations and economics from Beloit College in Wisconsin and returned to Nepal in the year 2006. We also have with us Mr. Santosh, founder and president of Today's Youth Asia. He is an inspirational figure to many youths like me. In today's episode, we are going to discuss about youth contributions in grassroots development.
Thank you for being here today. In today's episode, what we are trying to achieve is at a time when Nepal is going through a tough time, and our story is not very separate from many countries that are going through similar problems in other parts of Asia, in Africa, in South America. And in recent time, we have also seen in many rich countries that young people are resorting to streets for protesting for different reasons. And most of the time the reasons are not very different than our own. In this scenario, today we want to talk about how things have gone wrong in terms of development, and despite working so hard for decades, why we are still far away from reaching our goals of development. The reason we have Kanchan today is he's somebody who could have continued to stay in America, but he decided to come back and not just stay in Kathmandu, but he also went down to a very remote area. I come from the similar village, but I mean I wouldn't even think of going and staying in that rural part and carry on with my work. I at least stay in the capital city and get to travel a bit around the world. So what we're trying to achieve today is how we can be creative and spontaneous with the works of development and still not get derailed by the principles and mathematics and achieving the success that is initially set to achieve. And that's what we're going to discuss today, because it's been 5 decades or 6 decades now. It's been 6 decades that we have been hearing about development works in Nepal, once Nepal opened up to the world in 1950. But we haven't really seen much of visible results as expected, as the amount of money that has been put in, amount of works that has been done, and the number of increasing countries that we have invited to work with us. And also the fact that education has gone up, people are more literate, more development organizations have opened up during the last 60 years. And why is it that we're still behind? Why is it that we are still not being able to achieve the goals that we have set in? So that's what we'll discuss today, and we will take the work of Sanopaila, the organization that is working in Tarai, based in Birgans, and headed by Kanchan. So he's here with us today, and we'll hear a few words from him.
I would like to thank Today's Youth Asia for giving me this marvelous opportunity to be here. And since 2006, we have been running an organization called Sanopaila, which in Nepal, in English, it means a little step. It was named for the idea that it often just takes a little step to serve your community and induce change. And we were founded by a group of self-motivated and dynamic youths. Since our establishment, we have been addressing a broad range of issues of social mobilization, resource mobilization, community empowerment, and basic development issues through an extensive network of partners that are ready to support our health improvement and as well as community development goals. We achieve this through sustainable development practices, livelihood and rehabilitation enhancement, as well as bringing people together for peace-building initiatives as well as educational programs, together with extensive network and a broad range of partners at the local level, national level, as well as at the international level. And during this short journey, we have faltered quite a few times along the way, but every time we have been run on totally through the local support. That means, and that's the biggest strength our NGO has, because we have strong ties with the local population. Most of the funds, more than 80% of our funds, come from these local people. And the most inspiring thing is that small businesses or people who have low income are always willing to contribute to the cause we believe in, because they think they can be a part of this huge movement that we started back in 2006.
Santosh sir, you work in the mainstream media, foreign affairs, which are high-flying jobs. What makes you travel to remote areas for grassroots development works?
I myself come from a grassroots village, and I was lucky to get admitted into a national school in Kathmandu, and then I had opportunities to travel to United States. I spent several years of my childhood, my initial time in the village. And my father was quite an active person in the village, and my mother's father as well in his village. So I got to interact since a kid with villagers, and it's a nice life to be in the grassroots. People are simple, they're very cooperative. In fact, they're very eager to learn new things. So when I travel to grassroots, it reminds me of the simplicity of people and how simple life is in a village. Of course, there are difficulties and challenges that most of the time the village population is probably incapable, or they find it very difficult to sort it out themselves. And that kind of gives me and my friends a purpose to be of some support and of service, of some guidance. And once we provide that, we see that it is bringing a lot of positive change in their life. And although it's in a very small scale, you do see that your efforts are bringing, it's really adding to the quality of their life, and they are happy about it. And when they are happy about it, you are happy about it. So one of the major reasons what draws me back to the grassroots is my own roots, and the fact that you can get a lot of satisfaction, and you can feel that you're successful with the work that you're doing there. In the mainstream, also, so far I've been able to do pretty well, but at the same time, there's so many people doing what I do, and then I always have to keep myself sharpened up to stay with the competition. And as our works are getting more global, there are newer partners and competitors, which again we should not shy away from, and which we should face. But when you go to a village or a rural part, and there's a different kind of happiness and satisfaction which I don't find anywhere else. And no matter where my works take me, that's something I always want to continue doing, is go back to the grassroots and hang out with the villagers.
Mr. Shah, at a time when everybody's moving abroad, you decided to come back, and you are even settled in a remote area. What made you do so? Because I believe you left a lot of opportunities behind.
My father, he always used to tell me that if you don't have a home to live, if you don't have food to eat, and you don't have clothes to wear, then that's a problem. Everything else, it's inconvenience. And that was always like, that belief was always instilled in me since childhood. And the reason why I came back was not really a big reason. It was just simple, that I was born to a community, and I thought like I can create a platform on my own to contribute to the community I belong to and the society as a whole. And I think it's our country, and if not us, then who? If not now, then when? And I think these are the reasons that I came back. And I have settled there, and life is good. And as Santosh said, that the simplicity of grassroots, and that drives me more every day. And the people there whom I work with, and the needs driven there, it inspires me every day. And my team there, they are the real dignity of our country. The people who live in the grassroots are the real dignity of this country. And this country cannot move forward if we neglect those people. So thinking these things and embracing these things, I thought it's better to come back and contribute somehow to my society.
What are the goals of establishing Sanopaila? And we have so many drug trafficking NGOs and INGOs in our country, but what are the uniqueness in Sanopaila?
Actually, our main mission and our primary mission is to improve the social, economic, cultural, in environmental and health conditions of the people who live in impoverished and underprivileged communities in rural Nepal, and to integrate these communities into the life of the nation and to enable them to contribute fully to national development. The reason why we chose this mission is because this is what is lacking in our country. And unless and until you integrate these communities, the local communities, into the life of the nation, we cannot prosper, we cannot develop as a modern state. And regarding why we are working differently, as I mentioned earlier, our greatest strength lies with the ties of the people, of the local people. Our strength is them. And at the same time, what we do is we are trying to inspire people, we are trying to promote and enhance the voices of youth, as well as inspire people to get engaged in tackling problems that are being ignored by the government as well as the security sectors with homegrown solutions. And the reason is the thing why we wanted to do this is because we wanted community participation and engagement in every development work we do. And see, we have to remember that no community cannot be developed. Any community cannot be developed just by pouring in funds from outside. We need to identify as well as build upon key resources that are both internal to the community as well as external to the community, and so that these resources can improve the quality of life of people who are living in vulnerable communities. And we can only do this by engaging them, by engaging them and inspiring them to get involved and do something, at least take a little step.
Besides drug trafficking, what are other crucial problems that Tarai is facing?
If you look from an eagle's eye from Kathmandu, the things are really normal. But if you go deep into it, we see a lot of problems. And I'm not a drug expert, like a drug expert, but I didn't have any plans to work for the drug sector. But when we founded our organization in 2006, we did some research work, and when we started our mission, we got to know about so many things that are facing in our community that it really forced us to take this step. And that's why this is the time when we thought that, yes, we need to tackle drug problems. See, our district where we are based on is connected with India with an open and chaotic border crossing in Birgans that is not only famous for its trade and commercial activities and industries, but also infamously known as the district having the largest drug problem in the country. Having said that, Birgans is an important it's an important participant in the drug trade that happens both domestically as well as internationally, because there are multiple effects these drugs give on the society. For example, youths are being used there. Youths like your age groups are the ones who are becoming traffickers, are the ones who are carrying big and small guns and dealing on the streets, going across the border, making big deals and professionally. And so there were reports like international drug lords like Dawood Ibrahim and other people like big warlords were interested in cities like Birgans to continue this drug production. So we had to take this step, and we thought that if we don't take this step, so tomorrow we are going to find our own country into a new Afghanistan, which is going to be very unfortunate. Besides these issues, there are other issues that are really touching the people at on a daily basis. For example, food production is at an all-time low. Tarai used to be considered, it's still considered as the green basket of this country. The food production that happened in Tarai used to feed all the nation, but nowadays if you look at the thing, we have food coming from across Canada, from Australia. We import food from there, but our Tarai, there is no food production at all there. So issues like these are still a problem, and at the same time, the issue which we are really concerned at the moment is about the youth involvement in criminal activities. You have to remember that there are more than 109 armed groups prevalent throughout Tarai, and youths like your age group, from 15 to 19, they are most involved in extortion crimes, gun shootouts, bomb blasts and stuff like that. So these are our problems, and our mission, we have been working silently in the backdrop, and we have been counseling these youths, and there have been real examples where we have rehabilitated youths who were as part of the armed groups back in the day, but now they are doing their own initiatives. And talking about these issues, you have to remember that we didn't do this alone. We have our supporters and our partners above us. And at the same time, Today's Youth Asia was one of the key partners where we discussed this issue with the Today's Youth Asia, and they showed us a way where we could get more trainings and skill building exercises and other programs, and so we could go out into the field and reach out to these communities. Just one thing I would like to really focus on is that everyone in Tarai wants to come to Kathmandu or wants to go out of Nepal, and it's obvious. I mean, there is no security there, there is no jobs, industries have been closing down, you know, it's hot, it's dusty, there is no electricity, and I mean there is nothing. But still, why I am staying, why other youths who are involved in my organization are staying, because we have the hope. And with hope we have the plan as well. And I always keep on saying to my people that where there is life, there is hope. And where there is hope, there is a dream. So we too have a dream now, and we think by working with organizations like Today's Youth Asia and Institute for Peace and Justice, with getting their support from the central level, we can turn this dream into a reality.
We will be back after a short break. Do stay with us. Welcome back. You are watching Future Leaders. We'll continue with our questions and answers.
You're living in a place where security problem is a major issue. So what steps do you take to secure yourself?
Yes, we are always concerned about our security, and more than my security, I'm also always concerned about my team members. See, we have a huge network of volunteers. Over thousands of our volunteers are working in more than 3 to 4 districts. And we have a special grassroots relationship with the people. So every time we do something, our policies are embedded with local participation, influence, as well as support. We combine all these things together, and we have a great partnership with the district police as well as with the district administration. But those are just limited at the grassroots level. I can secure myself, and as well as my volunteers and as well as my team members, because we are so much connected with the people and so much ties with the people that there is something always like we have the support of the people. But my concern here is we can be very safe at the grassroots level, but talking about the national level, like organizations like, and I think Mr. Santosh will also highlight on this point, I think that's a more security challenge working in the capital and supporting grassroots initiatives like us, because you have to remember that we are already connected with the people, we are part of those people, so they're not going to come back with us doing the thing. And remembering our recent campaign against opium and marijuana farming, we were blamed for a lot of things, but we had the support of the farmers. You know, the farmers they still love us. They thought we did a very good job, and they support us. But my concern is about organizations like Today's Youth Asia, who are working at the central level but supporting our initiatives, and then they have security problems. And this is something very serious, I believe. And I think Mr. Santosh will elaborate more on this thing.
I mean, I'm glad that you raised that question, because as Tarai is a very insecure area, and while working with the drug farmers who are constantly in fight with the police locally, and also the drug criminals are the worst to deal with, and it has been like a constant nightmare to deal with that. And Kanchan makes it sound very easy, but it's not really easy. Number one is, if you really want to achieve what you want to achieve, you put your heart and soul into it. And I think that's our major security strategy, is that, you know, when you want to achieve something, like when a 4-year-old kid cries for chocolate at 10 p.m. in the night, you know when that kid cries, he or she cries in such a way that, you know, the parents even go and get a shop opened at that night, you know, like, and they manage to get what they want. So when you are driven by a strong passion, when you have the desire to achieve it, you know, you put your heart and soul into it, and that's a lot of power. One of the major strategy we did was, we didn't step into anybody's money zone, because as we know, there's a lot of corruption, and the greatest fear that people in the capital city had was, we are going to take away their development money. And we knew that, and that's the first thing we did, was we didn't take away their money, although we could have. Like, you know, our works are recognized the world over, But I know that people who don't care for dignity, who don't care for self-respect, who don't care for how the young people look at them, the people who do not look into their own country organically and independently, they care mostly for the money. So if you leave their money with them, they don't, they're kind of fine with it. And what mattered to me and my team was how much we could achieve in terms of providing young people the space that they need to get into the mainstream. And then mainstream meaning not just the young people in Kathmandu, also the mainstream people in the grassroots. And there are several young leaders like Kanchan in different parts of Nepal that we are working with. We don't publicize it all the time because I believe people need their own privacy. Like I didn't open up to the media for a long time because I didn't want to. I wanted to have my own space. But gradually you'll be seeing them and you'll be hearing a lot of success stories and very unique strategies that they came up with. But at the same time, I do not deny that risks are there when you work in a country like Nepal in the current situation. And risks are even bigger when you try to take away somebody's space, especially if they're powerful. And when some civilians wanted to take over the royal power, we know civil war broke. So, of course, we are not doing something that big or that drastic, but the risks are involved there. But that's how a country is changed. And we believe that there's always a non-violent way of bringing about a change, and that's what we are trying to achieve.
What are the possibilities of international development partners contributing towards community empowerment by establishing links with the grassroots organizations?
Recently in Tarai, and I think it's true in most parts of the hilly regions of this country too, that most of the fundings that are coming is not being properly monitored. And the pool of funds that are coming from various donors organizations are just being wasted. In fact, it's just being like, for example, just putting water in the sand. My concern with that question is like, what if these donations, what if tomorrow our country goes back, like we have an emergency rule, we have a dictator and all the donation comes down? Then imagine what will happen to this country. No one has ever thought of that. So I'm not saying like we don't need international funding. We do need international funding, but there is a proper way, there is a proper channel. Right now there are intermediary organizations which in local language you can call them as brokers, who set up meetings with grassroots organizations and big donors. And then they act and they ask commissions, percentage of the funds directly into their pockets. I mean, this is an open secret, and someone has to come and tell this to the media. And we as an organization in Birganj, in Janakpur, in Mahattari, we are doing this. We are telling people that these funds are coming but are not being being not utilized properly. So the possibilities of directly establishing linkages with grassroots organization is like our donor friends, they have to work a little bit more hard. They have to reach out to places which are harder to reach. And for that simple reason, they have to go there. They have to be a part of that community. Then you can establish a positive relationship.
But a couple of steps definitely is, number one, you really have to think whether you'll need international development support or not. Maybe most of the time it's not necessary, like we are doing with the drug farmers in Tarai. But this year, we convinced 80% farmers not to grow drugs. Why did we not put it out in the media until now? Why did we not involve any international organizations? Why did we not make it big in the capital city? That is because I will quote one saying of Mother Teresa that she said at Harvard when she was asked, "Mother, if poverty ends, if there are no suffering people in the street, what will we do?" So she said, "I will be unemployed." And she was very sarcastic when she said that. That also means if problem is solved, the people who are making money in trying to solve those problems will go unemployed. And for them it's easier to continue doing the same work rather than finding a new job. It's like you love the school so much that you fail every year to be in the class. And it's something that's synonymous to that, if I have to translate it into your language. And so we realized that if we brought this issue to the Kathmandu, to the capital city, And if we put it out in for some donor agency, this issue will carry on for 10, 20 years. And a time will come, especially you have to understand when you deal with this kind of people in Tarai, it involves a lot of physical risk. And as Kanchan mentioned Afghanistan in this context, is that if they feel they're cheated, then that's it. That will only increase more criminal activity. And once they lock their door, they lock their door. Everybody knows when you work in development sector, it's for the service. And I'm not saying you should go bankrupt and you should go hungry. You should find a job, a real job. And there are other factors also involve the people. And also the donors should be very clear about what they're getting out of it. And they should make it very clear to the people whom they are spending the money in. They should say that if I'm spending my money, this is what I'm expecting out of you. Because especially if the rich countries spend money in the development projects of the poor countries, very often it's converted into the political interest. So if it's that, they should be honest about it. At least let people know, and then people could decide whether they want that kind of money or not. So a lot of transparency, honesty, and what is driving you in that sector. And these are not easy things. So that's why we are having this discussion, so that maybe in 20 years we could change these mechanisms if we are in the main offices.
With this, we've come to the end of today's show. Thank you very much, Mr. Kanchan Shah and Mr. Santosh Shah, for being with us and sharing your insightful thoughts and ideas. We look forward to your feedback. Our email address is youthtya@gmail.com. Thank you for watching us. We hope to see you next week at the same time. Have a great week. Namaste.